Call to order, land acknowledgement in the spirit of respect, truth, and reconciliation. We honor and thank the Indigenous peoples on whose traditional lands we operate. The consideration of the agenda, could I get motion on that?
Yeah.
Ali and Richard. Any opposed? Draft minutes for the board meeting on March 12th, 2025.
So moved.
A seconder, please. Richard, any opposed to that? Okay. Consent agenda. Items that wish to be removed from the consent agenda. Anything? I move the approval of that. Motion on that.
Second, Bill.
Bill? Aye. We're going to screen for this through this, folks. 5C, the Draft Advisory Planning Commission, APC minutes. Oh, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah. Still struggle there. No presentation at the board, no delegations at our meeting today. Applications and persons attending to agenda items, none.
Right, Chairman, we'll have someone for that ALC.
Right.
Yeah.
But not at this point.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, and no unfinished business. Committee recommendations to Board of Directors, recommendations to the board referred by respective RDKB committees presented for consideration. So, item 10A, interim housing needs report. Donna Dean, Manager of Planning and Development. Donna, want to do a quick synopsis on that report? Oh, she's online.
I don't see her.
I am here.
Okay, hi Donna.
Hi. I'm just opening up my camera so you should be able to see me here in a second. Yes, so this was a report that was prepared by a consultant for us, and they did it was an update to the 2020 report. That was done at kind of an awkward time because at that time the census data was really old. We were just starting the pandemic and there was a lot of migration and people moving around. So this updates that information, and it's done for the 5 electoral areas and 5 of the municipalities. So City of Rossland, Grand Forks and Trail all decided to do that on their own, and those reports have all been completed and they're on their respective websites. Not a lot of surprises. We have old housing stock. We have a lot of single family dwellings, not a lot of diversity in our housing. And so some of the suggestions around that will be incorporated into official community plans. So our official community plans for the 5 electoral areas will be updated to take into account this report and the needs going forward for the next 5 to 20 years. So that will be the next phase of this. And then this has to be updated again in 2028, I believe.
Yeah, well, and obviously these are now a priority because, of course, they're targeted, tied to funding. So how critical they are to all of us. They're being completed. Thank you to staff for initiating and bringing this forward. Are there any questions or comments? Go ahead, Bill.
I'm just looking at the report use and expectations. So you're talking about amendments to the official community plan. Mm-hmm. So I'm talking on behalf of Fruitville here. So would we have to contact the regional district to see what that, or are we supposed to do that on our own? I'm confused as to who's got the lead now.
Right. So as far as updates to the official community plan, you would use your planning consultant to do that work for you. So the regional district would be responsible for our own official community plans and zoning bylaws in the electoral areas, and then each of the municipalities would do that work on their own.
Okay, thank you. So just confirm, we take this, I'll take this back to council, or I guess as a copy, and we should take it from there.
Yes, and it should be posted, it should be adopted or endorsed by your council and then posted on your website. That's a requirement of the province to do that.
Okay, thank you, Don.
Okay, you're welcome.
All new to me.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
I'll move the endorsement of the interim report. I'll second.
Thank you. Any other questions or any post? Good. Thank you, Donna, for the good work. Appreciate it.
Motion to adjourn.
Nice. He was looking for an opportunity. Right? You know that he spent the last 20 minutes trying to figure out how he could, yeah, there it is.
Hey, I know him. I was expecting something.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Great.
Very unfortunate.
So we just to bring you up to date, we just passed the housing report.
Yeah.
And wondered if you had any specific.
No, I don't. Thank you very much.
Item 11, new business appointment to Christina Lakes Parks and Recreation Committee. Good timing. Did the Board of Directors appoint John Young to the Christina Lake Parks and Recreation Commission?
Motion second.
And any opposed to that? Staff report dated, Town Hall report. The staff report dated March 17th from Anitra Binji, Corporate Officer. And now that we know that, providing a summary of the 2025 Town Halls is presented. Would you like to provide a quick little?
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the stats that we gathered from head counts and also others, surveys that were filled out, feedback. That's all been collated in what you have before you. You'll see some trends. Interestingly, last year water it was top of mind, emergency management. This year, again, water, recreation, culture, planning, development, emergency management, ECDEV. So it's interesting to see these issues trending over years. So we did have increased numbers in electoral area E and electoral area B. Of course, area B had a couple of additional items for discussion at Town Hall, the Janelle Fire Station, and the Janelle proposed park land. So the numbers were quite a bit higher than in the past, but I think overall the town halls seem to have run smoothly. We did try something different in Christina Lake where we wanted to record the presentation, and that's something I'd like to try again next year, to actually record the Farhad and the CAOs and the directors' presentations for those folks who can't be there in person. Unfortunately, the technology let us down, but we'll try to get a video camera or something to record those and have those in addition to the print presentation so that people can feel like they were there in a way. And that will really augment the experience of the Join the Conversation page where they can see all the print documents. So yeah, the postcards tend to be a really great form of communication. We were talking earlier about social media. Word of mouth, of course, is always very popular. Radio and newspaper, not surprisingly, are tending not to be as popular, which is kind of speaks to the whole newspaper industry. But
Great. Yeah, we've got a couple actually.
Okay.
Ally first, and then.
Yeah, thanks. Again, great effort by staff always, and the postcards I think are very effective. With the new finance manager this year, there's always going to be changes, the staff changes, right? But one of the changes was that, and I spoke to you about it at my town hall, where the financial statements weren't handed out in advance. And I'm going to send a couple comments in officially, but I think I would like mine handed out in advance. I'm not sure why Farhad didn't want to do that this time, but we're there to look at budgets. And I think the people want to see them ahead of the conversation, not as we finish the meeting. That's just me for my town hall, but I'll send that in separately myself, just that they be handed out as the people come in. They've got a few minutes to look at them before the meeting starts. Otherwise, always good. Always good.
good feedback. Thank you.
Linda, then I'll go to Grace.
To the chair, to Anitra, have you had any other areas that didn't, any places that did not get the postcards? Like I know Janelle did not get the postcards, so.
No, through the chair. So everybody else got postcards. So for those directors who don't know, there was an issue with the Janelle post office. So what we do is we hire Hall Printing to print off the postcards, and then they take the postcards to Canada Post and they're sent out. And because they are government issued mail, they're supposed to go in every mailbox. Unfortunately, what happened in Janelle was that these were dumped off and the person that's in charge of the post office did not put them in the mailboxes. So apparently there was a big stack.
That's terrible.
And people were noticing this. So actually, Canada Post sent a supervisor out to talk to the gentleman, and I know Director Worley talked to this person as well. So it was very unfortunate. No fault of Hall Printing, no fault of the RDKB, because we had strategized when in particular, that postcard would go out, given the Janelle Fire Station conversation. I know that was the first time we've had an issue, and hopefully we won't have that.
Bad timing.
Perfect storm. Yeah.
So the Bermuda Triangle I spoke to earlier, how I'm in the middle of it right now, and 3 things was actually 4 things at one time. And it was that, yeah, I'm still getting hammered about the postcards, and I just say, talk to the fellow at the post office. I went up and had a conversation with him, and he was threatening, he was not. That's why I phoned and said, can someone, do something about this, because it was not. So,
That's unfortunate for sure.
So I will follow up with, Diane at Hall Printing and also, Canada Post to find out what the result of that was, because we certainly don't want that to happen again. That's, a problem with
I'm pretty sure,
establishment.
thank you.
Grace, first.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I understand what Ally's saying. Having said that, I won't do that, and I'll be happy to share why. When you hand out a handout and you expect Mark or someone to do a presentation, this is what happens the whole time. Instead of people concentrating on what's being said, they're reading what they were given prior to that. I think the only way, I won't do it that way. I'll do it after, hand it out after, and if they have any specific things, they can go and talk to finance, or they could sit still in the chairs and read that financial report, or they can document their questions and send them to Farhat, to Mark, or whomever they want to address those to, and have that conversation one-to-one. But, part of what we learn in Toastmasters is if you hand out something ahead of time, people will spend their time reading it, and the presentation gets lost. So for Christina Lake, and thank you once again to the regional district staff, because incredible presentation. Thanks.
I wondered too whether, to your point, Alan, whether the idea of presenting something maybe by email or like private meeting, not at the meeting itself. So that folks come with questions,
We can,
send out.
but see, the point of having these meetings is to share the budgets and to allow people to ask questions about the budgets. Mine have always gone up. We all do it a bit different, and that's fine. We treat our residents differently, but mine have always been handed out at the door. And I think they have a right to see the numbers prior to the conversation. And I'm going to talk deeper with staff about how I'd like that presented in a simplified way so that they can see the impacts in area A and what specific questions they might want to ask. But the whole point is to talk about the budget, not give it to them as they go out the door.
Jerry.
Thanks, Chair. Just back to the handouts that are put in the post office. If it's provincially legislated, I wonder if when these are handed out, if that paperwork is handed out with those handouts so that there will be no problems when it gets to the post office. If there will be no postmaster making his own decision or her own decision on whether that goes out. Because if it's provincially legislated that they have to put it in everybody's mailbox, if that's sent out with the notice, then it has to.
It's never happened before. It's just a weird.
I think it happened in Bridesville for one of the elections, actually.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
And so these are just postcards that go out,
I
right?
realize that. So when the package of postcards get to the post office, if on there's a provincially legislated paperwork saying hey, these have to go into the post box, they can't say, well, we thought it was junk mail, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's necessary to share the whole context of that conversation, but from my understanding, it was understood that person maybe knew that and there were other issues. So I appreciate that for sure, but I think there were other issues.
Yeah. Small towns. The staff report dated March 17th from Anitra. Officer providing summary of the 2025 town hall data be received.
Motion to receive.
Thank you.
Second with the comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Chair.
Area tends to have lively town halls, and this was not. This was
Yeah,
it was really pointed questions, professional, and I just really wanted to thank staff. And actually, James got a shout out and applause.
You did.
You did. So, which is, yeah. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Just wanted to look at that.
Well, that's why he's not here today.
Thank you. Item 11C, application, any opposed? No. Application of the Local Community Accessibility Grant Program, SBARC. Anitra.
Thank you, Chair. So as you know, the board adopted our first ever accessibility plan as per legislation back in the end of October. And we have the opportunity to apply for grant funding. So it's funding that the province has made available through SPARC. And we get up to $25,000, but we do have to fill out an application form. So based on the findings from the committee that made its way into the accessibility plan, some staff and I, notably our facilities and rec staff, have gone through and noted some things that we could easily take care of. A lot of it's around signage, directional signage, lack of braille signage, those sorts of things. The other one is that the women's washroom at 843 Rossland is not accessible. It's the only female women's washroom that would be accessible. It actually is not. We did the measurements. It's a pretty simple fix. It will cost around $50,000. So something like that would fall under the criteria for this grant. There's some other things like little lips, like there's curbs around that would make it really difficult for a person in a walker or a wheelchair to navigate. So just getting some concrete and leveling that out, things like that. So I've gone through, made a notation of that, hopefully budgeted smartly. I've did some research on costs. I'm not sure how incredibly accurate it's going to be at the end of the day. One of the other things is that when we struck the committee, there was no remuneration allocated in the budget at that time. So all that is coming out of the 001 contingency fund. So based on the 13 committee members we have and the number of times we've been meeting over the year, I've also factored that in because this grant will cover those costs as well.
Great.
So I'm asking for the board's approval to apply for the grant funding and make strides on our accessibility.
Second.
Thank you. We're all set.
Go ahead.
This SPARC grant, are we stuck just with the regional district, or can we divvy it up to like 25 per service?
So through the chair, it's available to any local government.
No, but I meant like,
This is for the regional district.
it is the regional district, like
Yes.
EV Rec Commission couldn't apply, and then
No.
Boundary couldn't
No.
apply. We
No.
couldn't do it by service.
Fruitvale could, and the village would grant.
Yeah.
One local government.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So some of these,
So we're kind of being punished then,
No, you know,
the regional district.
not sure.
Because we got over 74 services, we got facilities all over the place. Some people pay into it, some don't. So it's not fair.
Yeah, it's not in terms of.
I want $25,000 per service, that's what I want.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get that.
I mean, a village of New St. Hazelton is going to get the same amount as City of Brentby. It's capped at $25,000. So when you look at
I
population.
know, I just meant, it's okay.
go ahead and
Try.
But Director, some of these, like there's a couple of BV grant items in here, Grand Forks Arena. So in terms of the money from the grant being allocated, it's going across different services. But the money goes to our local government. It's not specific to service.
Right
Yeah,
there.
so to Bill's question, we had a combined Fruitvale and Orfield committee
Mhm.
and
Montrose.
Montrose, so we can apply for money for what we need in our areas. For the grant.
I need to answer my question regarding Grand Forks and residents.
Okay. All right, we'll read that motion just because it is to approve an application. The Board of Directors authorized corporate officers to submit an application, local community accessibility grant for $25,000 to enable the RDKB to remove several barriers of accessibility and inclusivity as identified in the accessibility plan. Approved that the board here sent a letter to the local community accessibility grant program in support of the application. So moved. Yeah. Oh, sorry, we had mover and second that. Okay. Any opposed?
It was a bit premature, but I was feeling enthusiastic.
Yeah, that's okay. GMF funding, item 11B, application for GHG reduction and resilience and pathway study. Freya Phillips, I think, is Freya online?
I don't believe she just looked at the participants and I don't see her there.
She is online in Laura's office. We should.
There she is.
Okay. Freya, would you like to speak to this item?
Thank you, Chair, and apologies, I just had a computer crash on me. So this project is looking at undertaking a feasibility study, looking at how we can meet our greenhouse gas targets, and developing a number of different scenarios of pathways through. The funding is actually through FCM's Green Municipal Fund, looking at community building retrofits initiative, which is available to local governments. There is up to 200,000 for a portfolio of buildings to undertake the study and the pathways. The concept behind this study is really to help us feed in energy efficiency and greenhouse gas reduction measures into our kind of forecasting and asset renewal. We're looking at incorporating 20 buildings into this portfolio study. And the idea is to have some consistency around the approach. It will build off our existing work that is already being done, including energy assessments, asset management, and also a number of different evaluations as well. There are limitations around our existing assessments in which we've done, and in the report, I've actually noted, for example, Big White Fire, the assessment actually just focused on electricity rather than all of the different energy, and didn't look at things like the building structure, meaning the envelope, as well as future projected policies as well. The timeline is for 2025 to raise the funds for it. So that includes the FCM and also the Fortis funding as well. And in 2026 to incorporate, to actually commence the study as well. As noted in the report, funding, this has been incorporated within our financial plan and the budget as well for those different time periods outlined within the report as well. This study is part of the Senior Energy Specialist work plan. So in in the year 5 and 6, it is incorporated to raise the funds, and we're currently going through discussions with Fortis for the coming kind of year 7 and 8, which would incorporate this project as well. So the ask or the request is obviously approval to submit the funding application and associated resolution, which is required as part of the FCM funding application.
Great.
Please let me know if you have any queries.
Anybody have any questions? Okay. Thank you, Freya. So that the Regional District Kootenai Boundary Board of Directors approved the application for the Green Municipal Fund Community Building Retrofit Greenhouse Gas Reduction Pathway Feasibility Study and direct staff to proceed with submitting the grant application. Bill, Mike, and seconder? Bill. Okay, Bill. Thank you. Any opposed? Thanks, Freya.
Thank you.
Your work on that. Item 11E, Agricultural Land Commission, referral non-farm use application, electoral area D, Derbyshire. That the Regional District Kootenai Boundary Board of Directors direct staff not to forward the AALC Commission application for non-farm submitted by Nicholas Luchik on behalf of Troy Derbyshire for the property legally described as Lot 3, Plan 6263, District Lot 363, SDYD, Electoral Area D, Rural Grand Forks. I understand there is someone to speak to this item, potentially online.
Yeah, Nicholas Luchik is there. Donna, from a staff perspective, is available to speak as well.
Okay, so I will call first for someone to give me a motion, then we can go to staff. If you want to,
Motion as presented.
thank you. Good. All right, great. Thank you. And so go
I
ahead.
have a couple of things I wanted to say. This gentleman's application came in front of our APC on a day, are you having trouble hearing me, Holly?
No.
On a day that we weren't able to achieve quorum. So we stood around and chatted about it, and there was a great deal of empathy for the situation. That doesn't change the rules in place, but I'd like Mr. Rhodes to know that we listened and feel empathetic about the situation.
Yeah, we didn't hear before.
Yeah. Okay. And then folks online, is it Mr. Lucic? Lucic?
Mr. Lucic, yes.
Yes,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
So yeah, I appreciate noting the empathy for my client here. I hope it's well conveyed that his situation is really that his livelihood hinges on this workshop that he's been operating for around 2 decades now, and ultimately with what we're dealing with here, I just want to note a few items in the staff report that I think are worth directing our attention to. So one of the points noted is a reference to the ALC decision from January 28th of 2020. And what's noted in the staff report, and maybe I'll actually just take you there so everyone can look at that. It's on page 2. So yes, it's that page right there. Great, thank you. So what it notes there is that the ALC's decision from 2020 states that one of the conditions on the non-farm use was successful application for a temporary use permit, in brackets, to a maximum of 2 3-year temporary use permits. So as we can see in the staff report there underneath it concludes that a temporary use permit renewal was granted in January 2022 for an additional 3 years, which is correct, that did happen. Then it says reaching the maximum number of temporary use permits permitted by the ALC. So I just want to address that to provide some clarity about what we submit the ALC was doing there. I think a really important piece that's missing is that in the ALC decision, directly after that statement that's quoted there, it says, and I'm going to quote here, "For clarity, upon expiry of the second temporary use permit, the applicant must have either 1, ceased the non-farm use of the property, or 2, submitted a new application to the commission requesting the continued non-farm use of the property in order to allow for reassessment of the proposal by the commission." And that's exactly where we are today. With the expiry of that second non-farm use permit, we've now brought our next application. And I think that's vital information in terms of what the ALC was trying to do there. They were not saying that there is a maximum of 2 3-year permits forever in the future. They were saying for the purposes of us allowing this non-farm use right now, we will allow it for 2 temporary use permits from the regional district. And now we've gone to those, but as noted by the ALC, they invite my client to bring another application at that time, which is where we are. And I think taking out just the portion we see in the staff report there, it could definitely leave the impression, well, it says maximum number of 2 temporary use permits, but that wasn't their intention. They were just saying after 2, a maximum of 2 in terms of this order allowing, you're going to have to reapply. And that's where we are today. So I just think that's vital information in the regional district deciding whether or not they're moving this forward. Again, when I read that staff report, I would think too, well, they say a maximum number, so why would we forward it along to the ALC? But again, it's missing the vital next sentence that follows what's quoted there, which actually invites my client to bring another application. And again, that's where we are today. I'll also just briefly note the staff report mentions that there is a potential impact to the Grand Forks regional aquifer as the parcel lies within the recharge area for the Grand Forks aquifer. So I just want to put emphasis, it says as the parcel lies within the recharge area for the Grand Forks aquifer, but Elsewhere in that staff report, it also acknowledges that while a portion of the parcel is above the aquifer, the actual non-farm use is not above the aquifer. The workshop, to be clear, and this is acknowledged in the report, and if you'd like, I can take you to where in the report, but it acknowledges the actual non-farm use is not above the aquifer. So where later in the report it states that the aquifer may be vulnerable to land use activities above it, let's just be very clear that the land use we're talking about right now is not above it. So those are just a couple of the specific things I wanted to address in the staff report. But ultimately, I just want to submit on behalf of my client that, again, as I appreciate you guys noted, that, the empathy you have towards him in terms of him building his life around this, and now his son's life as well, who's learned and trained underneath him and now works there as well. But they've jumped through the hoops that have been required by the regional district and by the ALC. As you've seen in the application materials, he has done extensive work to reclaim the property to a better standard than it ever was when he even purchased the property. It's got, he's and again, we're talking about 90% of the property here. It's a very small piece here that is actually being used for non-farm use, and what he's done to the rest of the property has in fact improved it in an area that otherwise doesn't have very good agricultural ability. We've got parcels on 3 different sides of the parcel in question, 2 of which are, don't engage in any agricultural activity, and the third of which, the nursery, it does, but all of their plots are above ground because the ground isn't good enough for their purposes. So again, that context I think is important in determining whether to allow this continued use. I'll also note, again, which is extensively referred to in our application, but the reliance that the community has on Mr. Derbyshire and his operation for the economy of Grand Forks in general with regard to the logging industry, but also directly with regard to the agricultural industry and the farmers that he assists, and that he is the go-to person in the community and in for surrounding the community when it comes to heavy duty machinery work on tractors and other agricultural equipment. I'll then on that point just note how the staff report mentioned that while there was a petition put together and various letters from people in the community, all of those letters are quite dated, going back to 2017. We acknowledge that. Perhaps at our own fault, we didn't expect that we were going to be getting pushed back at this phase before the matter even got to the ALC. We can absolutely produce letters current from farmers and other members of the community speaking to the importance of Kettle River Mechanical. So if that is required and would be of assistance, then we would ask that an assessment on our application be adjourned and for some time to allow us to gather those petitions. I mean, it's a lot of work. It has hundreds of signatures, and it was done years ago. And the question was just, okay, should our client be going ahead and getting up to date petitions and letters from everyone? And we felt no. I mean, the letters, his position in the community hasn't changed in the last 10 years to the extent that letters from 2017 don't hold any weight today. But if that is a critique by the regional district, then absolutely, please give us an opportunity to gather those documents. Same goes for the aquifer issue in terms of if that is a concern. I don't mean to minimize it by noting that the non-farm use is not above the aquifer, but if there is a concern there, I know my client would be willing to hire an expert to assess whether or not there is a risk to the aquifer there. So far in the staff report, it kind of notes there's a potential impact on it for things that reside above it. So if that needs to be honed in on to determine if there is any effect to the aquifer, then give my client an opportunity to hire a professional to assess that. And I'm confident he will, considering again what's at stake is his very livelihood here. So ultimately, I would request that this application be forwarded to the ALC. Again, if somehow I'm misinterpreting what they've stated in their 2020 order, which I believe I'm not. Again, I just was reading quotes from it to you. Let the LLC say that if they have some issue with it. But again, we're just following the direction that they provided in that order by bringing this application, and we would hope that it makes it to them again. I would also note that from my understanding of the structure, despite this application being forwarded to the ALC, the regional district still holds the ability not to, and the municipality to allow the non-farm use, even if it was approved by the ALC. So again, we would just submit that this application do be forwarded to the ALC. That doesn't take any control or power out of the hands of the regional district, but to cut this application off at the knees before it makes to the ALC, based on a provision provided by the ALC in their 2020 decision, which I submit as being misinterpreted and not being read in its full context. I would think that would be a mistake, and a mistake to the serious detriment not only to my client and his family, but also to the community of Grand Forks and the surrounding area that rely on his vital services. So for now, that's all I'll submit, unless there's anything else.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Lusick. Appreciate it. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And thank you, Mr. Lusick. I appreciate your presentation. I have a couple of questions and recommendations, if the board is willing, would be, I would recommend, I know we have this motion for it, but to make another motion to send this back to the APC, where you have a quorum and they actually have the right information on it. The other thing to take into consideration is this business is servicing agriculture, and being a heavy duty mechanic is not an easy job. And in modern times, we're a lot more responsible with our waste. And my husband's a mechanic. We have mechanics in our area, and we used to put oil down for dust. We don't do that anymore. There's stringent regulations of where that transmission oil goes, where that engine oil goes, even all this oil filters and filters are all recycled. So those are considerations that I think need to go before RD's APC, in my humble opinion. Thank you.
Sorry, can we hear from staff, please? I'd like to hear from Donna, Dean, and Mark, please.
Okay, Donna, would you like to respond at this point?
Yeah, I can, sure. First of all, the aquifer, I have a map in front of me, and that area is clearly above the Grand Forks aquifer. And I can share that screen if I'm able to, but it's probably not necessary, but it is well within the aquifer, and that is an unconfined aquifer. So it is a high risk area because it's a sand and gravel. And I can show it to you then. If I can find the share button, there we go. So you should be able to see on your screen now the aquifer. So this subject property is located here, and this light blue area is the extent of the Grand Forks aquifer. So there's a risk. I recognize, like as Sharon said, we don't throw waste over the ground like we did maybe in the past. I'll just stop sharing that now. So that's it. It's just incorrect. Mr. Look, he did reference the two levels of regulation. So we have the Agricultural Land Commission, and yes, they did say you either have to cease the operation or you have to submit a new application for non-farm use, which is what this is and what's being considered by the board now. We also have the temporary use permit, which is a regional district provision. So that's something under the Local Government Act that we can issue. So they said the two, so you're allowed to have 2 consecutive applications. Doesn't say you can't reapply for a temporary use permit, but usually by then you're either going to rezone it because you have support in the community and you're going to have that permanent use there, or you're going to carry on with temporary use. The intention of this was always to be a temporary solution until the landowner found another piece of land where they could operate this business on it. They did do the corrective actions that were recommended by the Agricultural Land Commission, because the extent of the area was quite a bit larger in the past because they were parking on the agricultural land, and it was improved, which is great. The official community plan does not support this use, and staff's concern around it is around the speculation of land. So you go and you put this use in that's not permitted, and then that ends up getting approved in the future. So those are some of the points that I wanted to make around the staff report. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
Mark has some history there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, a couple of points. Once again, just from the background of the staff report, this use of the property originally came to us as a bylaw enforcement issue. The building was constructed as a workshop, started to develop as a business and expanded as a business, and we as a regional district, based on the official community plan policies and zoning bylaw, engaged in enforcement action to have the property owner cease the use of the property. There was a subsequent application to the Agricultural Land Commission. Temporary use of the property for the mechanical shop was permitted, subject to the regional district approving temporary use permit, and then a subsequent permit beyond that one. At this point, the regional district has an opportunity either to forward the application onto the Agricultural Land Commission for its consideration, or the regional district also has the right not to forward applications on if they don't comply with the regional district's OCP and zoning, which in this case, this proposed land use doesn't. So that's the basis of staff's recommendation is looking at the official community plan for the area and the implications with respect to the use of the property vis-a-vis the official community plan.
Grace.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much. Some of us have heard this before and gone around several times with it. I know it's difficult, but I support the recommendation that is here in front of us, because we really do have to pay attention to farming, and we have to pay attention to water in our aquifers. And I remember the conversation we had with this before. Many of you were not privy to that, but I remember that. Allie will have remembered that. Linda will have remembered that. Mr. Mark will. So when you're ready, I'm happy to make the recommendation that is written here.
Allie.
And I think the rural directors, for the most part, trust the feelings and decision of the rural director of that community, and that will be my position on this as well. And I've already heard from Linda Fay that she's supporting the resolution as it stands. I thought you said that. You did say that.
Anybody else have any questions or comments on the
I just want clarification. It was something that happened at the APC and the planning committee or something. I'm just. What happened? Yes.
Yes, we weren't able to get quorum that day, and the gentleman had showed up. So there was a very informal discussion.
Oh, okay. So, but it was discussed. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But not a majority of the members of the APC.
Is that a significant issue?
Yeah.
For official minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sandy. Thanks, Chair. I'll look to the regional director for the area as well for her response. I share the fact that, this is this gentleman's livelihood, and that concerns me deeply that, we're looking to affect this and his now son, a livelihood. And I think I certainly do not take that lightly as the mayor of Grand Forks and the director for the Grand Forks City. And so I'm because this is a regional district issue, and I will I will defer to Linda Kay as the director for rural Grand Forks. But I share that empathy and concern over this gentleman's livelihood moving forward. But I will defer to director.
Linda, Linda, Orly first, and then Linda.
Through the chair, as well as Grace mentioned, and I remember this well, and my understanding was that this gentleman was directed to or suggested to look for other property. He's had 2 rounds of 3 years to do so, and I think it's important to recognize that that lenience was given, and that for whatever reason, that hasn't happened, and now it's kind of a Hail Mary to do this and get another extension and another extension and whatever. And I just feel that the ALR land is far too precious. Aquifers are far too precious to take any chances with. So I support the director and
Go ahead.
Well, my APC showed a great deal of empathy and concern. There, if they had voted, they would have supported staff in this. That was the end of the discussion. And these are terrible decisions for all the reasons. We're sorry. That's it. I can
Thank you.
talk my way out of this one. It's not possible.
No. Anybody else wish to comment questions? Okay, I'll call the question.
excuse me, did you not make a motion?
Yeah.
Sharon? I thought
She
Sharon
made a suggestion. I misunderstood this.
So I'll read the motion out. The Regional District of Kootenay Boundary Board of Directors direct staff not to forward the Agricultural Land Commission application for non-farm use submitted by Nicholas Luchis on behalf of the Ronald Troy Derbyshire for the property legally describes Lot 3, Land 6263, District Lot 363, SDYD, in Electoral Area D, Rural Grand Forks. I have a motion and a seconder.
Yeah, I motioned.
Yep. So any opposed?
Would you like to abstain and have that recorded?
That's an opposed. No.
Oh, I thought it was a
In
confirmed.
favor of, you can't abstain at the regional district table.
You cannot?
No.
So you're opposed, right?
No, an abstention would be in favor. You would have to
I understand that.
acknowledge that you're opposed.
So are you, if you're opposed, you're,
I'll go with the director.
right? It's unanimous. Okay. Yep.
Fine, sorry.
Sorry, did you get that, Mr. Luchek?
I didn't. If someone could just summarize what the results were for me, that'd be
Result
appreciated.
was unanimous. Excuse me, folks, can I? The result was unanimous for staff's recommendation to reject the proposal to be sent to ALR Land Commission.
Understood.
Thank you. Item 11F, grants and aid.
Motion to approve.
Oh, yeah.
Second.
Item 12, bylaws. 12A, 1887, bylaw to amend electoral area D, rural Grand Forks, zoning bylaw number 1675. Can I do,
You'll have to do each one separately.
that the Regional District Kootenay Boundary Board of Directors rescind second reading of the Regional District of Kootenay Boundary zoning amendment bylaw number 1887, 2024. Okay, that was Grace and Linda Kay. Any opposed? Recommendation on weighted participants only vote that the Regional District Kootenay Boundary Board of Directors read the Regional District Kootenay Boundary zoning amendment bylaw number 1887, 2024, second time as amended. Okay. Any opposed? That the Regional District Kootenay Boundary Board of Directors read Regional District Kootenay Boundary zoning amendment bylaw number 1887, 2024 a third time. And a seconder? Linda K, or Linda, right? Linda W, yes. Any opposed? That the regional district Cooney Boundary zoning amendment bylaw number 1887-2024 be adopted. And further, the chair and corporate officer be directed to sign the bylaw.
So, second.
Thank you. Linda and Linda. Any opposed? Item 12B, 1898 Grand Forks Aquatic Center requisition increase. That the electoral area D and City of Grand Forks are both consented to this bylaw being adopted.
So moved.
Okay. Recommendation that the regional district Cooney Boundary Grand Forks and District Aquatic Center Service Establishment Amendment bylaw number 1898-2025 be adopted. Further, the chair and the corporate officer be directed to sign the bylaw. Okay. Opposed? All right. Any opposed? I think that was easier than the process, right?
The first part. Sure, I will say, first of all, I want to thank Mark for showing up at the special meeting to reconsider. This was a challenge. There were some comments made publicly that I want to reassure. The comments were that we do not that we're not partners with Area D in this. And I will tell you that is absolutely block. We are 100%. We are partners. And yes, our evaluations are different due to that we have industry and business in our community. So of course, the dollars are a little higher. But this was, in my opinion, a matter of if we did not approve this, that services would be cut to our pool. And to me, that's just absolutely unacceptable. And any comment other than that is wrong. And so we are partners. We work very well together and we'll continue to work well together. And I thank staff for their tolerance. So thank you. And we have a new rec commission member because of it. So.
They do have a small comment. As a new director, I learn as I go, as we all do. But as we saw all the bylaw changes and approvals, etc., and now we're talking position increases, these decisions are getting harder and harder for me because I cannot see what will happen. These are directly affecting people's lives, their employment or staff. It gets harder the more you know. It's been an interesting week with City Council. I think we've all learned a lot and earned a few more gray hairs. It's turned out all right. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Great. Yeah, it's not easy. And in these pressures today, we're all experiencing, making it more difficult to continue to provide these services. And we've talked about it before. It may require us cutting some services. You know that may be a reality. Okay, item 12C, 5-year financial plan, which requires 2/3 consent today. The staff report dated March 26, 2025 from Farhad Hossain. This is Farhad on.
He is not. He's not with us today at all.
Regarding consolidated 2025-2029 5-year plan is presented. So that the regional district Cooney Boundary Financial Plan bylaw 1900-2025 be read first, second, and third time.
Motion.
Okay. Any questions? Any comments? Any opposed? Recommendation with corporate vote that the regional district Cooney Boundary Financial Plan bylaw number 1900-2025 be adopted. Further, the chair and corporate officer be directed to sign the bylaw. Seconder, Bill. All right. Any questions? Any comments? Any opposed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Quick comment. Great work. I really appreciate Farhad and the work that he and his staff do, especially since they're on skeleton staff. And had a discussion with him yesterday and wished him happy Ramadan because that's what he's doing.
Yeah. Right. I'll be coming to an end soon.
It's the celebration of the end of Ramadan.
Yeah.
Right.
And a feast.
Yes, an important feast and ceremony for them. Yeah. All right. emergent items? Sorry. Great, go on.
Oh, nice.
We all know you got a cavity.
I'd like to wish the chair a belated happy 102nd birthday. On my Facebook page, he was born in 1923, so he's an old fart.
No, don't show my face, Mike. Thank you. Thank you, that. Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but I haven't changed it because I thought it's kind of makes for novelty. I'm 102 yesterday. Yeah. Thanks, Mike. He's the oldest mayor. Yeah, there you go.
What's your secret for how you look at
I don't know. Good water, I guess. Good Roslyn water.
I really don't want your date of birth public information.
I don't mind. 66.
I kind of like that one because that's the day my dad was born and that he would have been 102.
There you go.
So,
We should celebrate every birthday we have and be happy we can do that.
Yeah, should be counting our blessings. Absolutely. Thank you. Late emergent items. That was the only one. Discussion of items for future meetings. Yes.
This budget cycle was very hard. The next budget cycle is going to be harder. I have suggested this in the past, and I'm going to do it again. I think the directors should have maybe a little bit more input in setting the tone for the next coming budget, whether it be setting a financial target, but it's going to be harder for us next year. And I'd like a slightly different approach at the beginning of the next budget cycle.
Thank you, Mark. Certainly our CFO, as mentioned early in this budget cycle, has plans. He also would like to bring the budget planning process on earlier in the year. I know there was some pushback. We talked about bringing it to, starting it in August. There was some concern about that. But certainly that's on Farhad's radar. He would also like to initiate things earlier.
That's great. Thank you. And a great job for everybody, right? These are tough decisions. None of them are easy. They're going to get harder.
Right. I just wanted to reinforce Ellie's thing about how we approach it. And I was debating whether to vote against the budget this year. I didn't. And maybe I should have, but I just want to set the tone for next year that if we say 3% is a reasonable increase, 3% should be the reasonable increase. And things are different, I know, in every service things happen, but you know, I'm looking at what's happening through the taxation requisitions and what's happening in Warfield in terms of our requisitions, and it's getting tougher and tougher. I mean, we're at a 30% increases for all gold. Right. Well, from the regional district anyways.
Yeah. Just first.
I have a follow-up tomorrow.
Okay, well, you missed the opportunity. Go on here. Bill. Sorry.
I hear you, Frank, but I have a concern about setting a 3%. Then you're implying all 74 services have to be 3%. Some of them don't have to be 3%. So I
will build on that.
I just think it has to be by service. Some guidelines on that versus 3% across the board. I also go back, you know, I have problems, this is my first time seeing the budget, and I have problems with the yo-yo budgets. If we're looking at the next 5-year plan being a true plan, and you see a 40% increase over 5 years, divide that by 5 and accept the fact that it's going to be 8% or adjust the 5-year plan. Let's not squabble over the year we're in. Let's look at that 5-year plan and say, if that's the case, because if you go, if it's 40% and you do 333, you're going to end up with 35% in 1 year.
Yeah.
Because we didn't bite the bullet sooner. So that's not what you're getting at, though. I know that's not what you're getting at, but I just.
That's a problem we have in Warfield.
Right? Individual budgets. Individual budgets.
Alan.
Thank you. In 20 years, I have opposed one budget, but when I opposed that budget, I pulled out the item that I opposed specifically to debate that specific budget. And you know, I've heard a couple people say I might oppose the budget, but respectfully, if someone wants to oppose something in the budget, fair enough, but oppose it early on and we can discuss it. and at least have something specific. I oppose this because, and let's look at this, and this, but I don't think it's fair to blanket oppose this entire budget without pointing at something. So if someone wants to do that at any time, I think that's just a good approach to take.
Yep, and I think as an example, we've got a $75 million project on the go right now with East End Services. Obviously, that's been a huge influence on our budget this year, and will ongoingly too. So how we factor that into the future budget deliberations, that is going to apply regardless. We got that project and we have that commitment to it. I'm thinking of at East End, we've also looked at a couple of service reviews, looking at our fire service and looking at transit as well in the coming year or two. And I think that is an important consideration for each service. That there should ideally be some scrutiny there and decide the importance of the value of that service and whether we can continue to afford the increased costs associated. So I think we're doing some responsible things forward and hoping it will reflect in next year's discussions. In the meantime, we're having to bite the bullet this year, and City of Roslyn, I'd say, our total budget increase this year will likely be 10% in the end. Go ahead, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Just food for thought. I know beforehand, I talked a couple of days ago about starting earlier. One of the only concerns I have thinking about it now is that some municipalities aren't starting earlier. So when you have services that are shared with municipalities, hopefully we can, send out some early emails to other CFOs of the communities that have shared services to make sure that we can get on board with our services at the same time.
Good idea. I'm going to go to Director Martin. Grace. Go ahead, Terry.
Thank you, through the chair. Sorry if I cough. I think this conversation is going in the right direction. I like to commend the directors, like Director Marino. I myself was going to oppose the budget, but as Director Grieve says, it would be better if you opposed something that you weren't satisfied within the budget itself. So that's why I didn't oppose the entire budget. It's going to be hard for not just the City of Trail, but for everybody this year. And it is because of the Columbia Pollution Control Center. We know that. But we've got to move forward. That's the way things happen if you want progress in the organization as well, and we're in a community. So I just want to thank everybody for the conversation as we move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, City Chair. I understand why finance might want to start early, but what I see happens, their actuals aren't in. So we do this. And some people will not approve their budget until the 11th hour. They had every chance to have that discussion, every chance to have a meeting. But guess what? They wait until the 11th hour and the last dog is hung. That's not what it said. And that's what affects us. If everybody would sit down when they have those opportunities and walk through them, that wouldn't happen. It wouldn't drag on. But for some reason, some directors want to leave it till the 11th hour. And then we're all under the gun. And if somebody opposes the budget, it shuts every one of us down. They could dislike, that's what Ellie was speaking to. You can take one thing out of it and have that conversation. But if you oppose that budget, you're done. Everybody's done. Literally. And that's really serious stuff. So I think those are some of the conversations we need to have, is the timing of things. What does that look like? What does that breakdown look like? What is it that the directors need in order to make those decisions in a timely manner rather than making them in the 11th hour?
Yeah, just to add on to what Grace is saying, I was one of the ones who certainly was opposed to starting any budget conversations in August, being respectful of staff time as well. I mean, we all want to time out, especially, staff in the summer with their families and the rest of us too. And, no matter what a deadline is, it doesn't matter when you make a deadline, we're still going to be fighting for a deadline. Yep. And you know what, if we have to have more meetings during a month, to make sure the budget happens, I think that's a better idea. While the actuals are more close to actual, like if we're talking budgets in October, those are pretend numbers. And, you know, if the later we wait, the better. And then increase the budget meetings that we have starting in January.
Yep, and we've talked about that before, about the importance of having those earlier meetings and multiple ones if necessary.
Right.
Well, committees, I guess that's where the work needs to get done. And we'll continue to make sure that's reinforced. Anybody else? Okay, I want to make sure that I don't miss this. Question period for public and media. And is there anybody?
What is that noise?
Maybe he's checking the owl.
Yeah, he's in the attic.
We have a rat in the attic.
Yeah, IT guy.
He's up there. Okay. No closing camera meeting today. Looking for an adjournment. So, all right. Thank you.
I like it very. I love it, Johnny. You see in 3 hours. Is there?